Okay, everyone, we're going to start the meeting. Okay, so Councillor Harris, order. Okay, I am going to call the Sustainability, Infrastructure, and Development Committee to order. It's the official new name of the committee. Just a couple of housekeeping before we get started and roll call in all of the way this works. Because we're running behind, we've had to adjust the schedule slightly. I will be following the normal introductory order. We are going to have a motion put forward first, and then we'll go into the delegation. So any delegations, if you give us about 5 minutes, and an additional 5 minutes, and then we'll get started into our regular scheduled agenda for today. So that being said, please ensure that you are on the SIND meeting in eScribe. Otherwise, your request to speak and voting functions will not work. Clerks will be ensuring every vote has been recorded before we move on to the next. So I'm going to call this meeting to order for August 13th, 2024. I will now call on Will Short to do the roll call.
Thank you, Chair James. Regional Chair Redmond.
Present.
Councillor Craig.
Present.
Councillor Deutschmann. He's here. Councillor Erb. Councillor Foxton is here. Councillor Harris. Councillor Hunick.
Still here.
Councillor Chair James. Councillor McCabe. Councillor Nowak. Councillor Solonen.
Present.
Councillor Verbanovic. Councillor Williams.
Present.
Councillor Wolf.
Present.
And we have regrets from Councillor Liggett and Councillor Shantz. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge that the land in which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Chinanton peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence and the people with whom we share this land with today, and the achievements and contributions. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Okay, seeing none. We have a presentation on the gold. So yes, there's a presentation. Give me 1 second. There are my points for that. So this is a presentation for the Gold Special Event Award for Municipal Waste Association. So I'm pleased to take a minute to recognize our regional staff and our partners from the Kitchener Public Library for receiving the 2024 Gold Special Event Award from the Municipal Waste Management Association for promotion and education for the Kiss the Ground, farming, food, and you community. This award recognizes municipalities that excel in minimizing waste, engaging in innovative approaches, and demonstrating significant value to their communities through promotion and education. The region and the Kitchener Public Library staff hosted this event to raise awareness of the role we all play in circular food economy, soil health, reducing food waste. They brought the community together to learn and share experiences through screening this documentary, Kiss the Ground, and in the conversation with the panel of experts. It is with events and partnerships like these that we continue to make changes for our community and our environment. Our staff in the Waste Management Division also shared this video called Garbage Doesn't Just Disappear, which reminds us through the 50-year-old newspaper to be mindful of what we send to the landfill. Please take a minute to watch the video available on our region's YouTube channel. And on behalf of Council, I congratulate and thank our regional staff and our partners from the Kitchener Public Library for their innovation, dedication, and care for our environments and community. And I would now like to invite those behind this award to come forward to be acknowledged. If you were here, I thought I saw Nathan up there. And Okay, so we are going to, oh my goodness, all the way at the back. Okay, so we have a motion that is coming out of close that's been added to today's agenda at the direction of council. The following resolution was discussed in closed committee today and agreed to be forwarded to open session in our Sustainability, Infrastructure, and Development Committee. The motion will appear on the screen, and I will ask Councillor Sullivan to read the motion.
Thank you very much, Chair James. So this motion I am moving and bringing forward, and it reads, whereas the region of Waterloo is in the process of completing the purchase of a 160-acre farm in Wilmot Township, further known as the farm, as part of the industrial land strategy, further referred to as the Land Assembly, and subject to the region's confidentiality obligations, and whereas the region of Waterloo recently plowed under the corn crop on the farm, which was estimated to be 5 or 6 weeks away from harvest, also known as the event. And whereas this event appears to be in direct contradiction to the region of Waterloo Strategic Plan 2023 to 2027 Growing with Care Vision, and whereas this event appears to conflict with the goals in the province's Grow Ontario, a provincial agri-food strategy. Therefore, be it resolved that the region of Waterloo commits to ensuring, with respect to crops on any further farms purchased through the Land Assembly, that the first consideration will be assessing whether the crop can be harvested and a suitable use found for the yield, and that the outcomes of such assessment will be provided to Regional Council before any action is taken. Be it further resolved that Regional Council receives a report within 4 weeks of this motion outlining what occurred, including what actions were taken to mitigate the loss of crops with respect to the event, and that this report be made public and subject to Region's confidentiality obligations. And be it further resolved that going forward, Regional Council will be provided with advance notice of any further work occurring on the lands purchased by the region of Waterloo through this Land Assembly.
Thank you. So that is moved by Councillor Sullivan. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Deutschman. Okay, so the motion is on the floor. I will, there's nobody in the queue. We're going to call the question for this. You'll be prompted in e-scribe. Councillor Harris. Okay, so that is carried. Next, we will move on to the delegations. Thank you for your patience in waiting this afternoon, and it's been quite a fulsome day. So with that, I would like to invite actually, let me go through the procedure first. We'll now proceed with the delegations. Please remember when you get to the mic to turn on the mic, wait for it to be green. You will have 5 minutes to speak. Any interrupting councillors, staff, or other delegations, derogatory statements about councillors, staff, or others, turning your camera on for those online at any appropriate times, or any hate speech will not be tolerated. And also, please do not take offense if council does not ask any questions following your presentation. With that, I'll invite Tova Davidson, Executive Director of Sustainable Waterloo Region, down.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been told I have a lot of energy, and this group's been through a long day, so I will try to bring it for this meeting today. I'm doing my regular update to the community, and this is my last presentation to the council, so I've seen many of you, and you've heard this before, and I've got a couple new things to add in today as well, so thank you for the time. Next slide, please. Sustainable Waterloo Region likes to have this one slide every year that you can look at to see the impact of what we've done over the year, and this is looking at 2023. I'll talk through about a few of these in particular as I go through the slides, but I want to acknowledge that we are now in our 15th year of operations. I've been here for 10 years, and we're really excited about all the things that we're working on and all of the impacts we've had. Next slide, please. The TravelWise program, which was a partnership with the region, and we ran for its entire 12-year history, was a great program that supported organizations to get their employees to commute to work in a different way. We ran that program in partnership through the pandemic, and it became successful enough that the region decided to bring it in-house at the end of 2023. So we're really excited about that and eager to see the progress and the evolution of the program as it becomes an in-house program and grows and becomes more and more flourishing over time. Next slide, please. Our microforest program launched during the pandemic. We've been running it for 3 years now, and it's a program where we plant about 100 trees in the space of about a residential building lot and spaces that we would deem to be undevelopable. We're not going to put something else there. Over these 3 years, we've planted almost 2,000 trees. Just to give you a sneak peek, this year, we expect we will have put in 15 forests this year, an additional 1,500. And as a note, my goal, the team is shaking their head a little, if we do 15 more next year, we will reach 50 forests in 4 years. So really excited about that and all of the partners. Next slide. Talk a bit about the partners for this program. We did plant one in partnership with Anishinaabe Outreach, a spirit garden for everyone, on September 30th last year, and we're doing that again this year. And it is our very first food forest. So we're planting apple trees, peach, pear, all of that sort of thing, blueberry bushes, as well as traditional medicines, such as cedar trees, et cetera, to be able to give back to this community not only as a reconciliation of the land, but also as a food source for future generations. So really proud of that partnership. Next slide, please. The program also included 5 school plantings, and they are done rain or shine. The picture on the right has one of my dear friends, Julie, in it. She came out to plant and had never planted a tree in her whole life. So this is a program that not only puts trees in the ground, but connects people back to how simple it can be to be part of the sustainability movement. Next slide, please. We can't do this without our sponsors. It is a fully sponsored program. We have no core funding for it, and we're really excited and thankful for all of these sponsors that help us with this. Next slide. The Climate Action Program, we were here not long ago, and we shared that we have reduced our carbon footprint 12% from our baseline year. It's not enough, but it's good progress. Next slide. If you're looking for the progress that we've made through this partnership, of which the region and all of the area municipalities are such important partners, we encourage you to go look at the online action tracker. Next slide, please. This is the place where all of the dashboard of all of the actions can be found. Who's responsible? What's the progress? And actually, there was a study out of the University of Waterloo that looked at what communities are making real progress and measured progress on sustainability. And Waterloo Region was one of only 4 in Canada that were found to have made real progress. And things like this and the re-inventory that we brought to you recently is one of the reasons why. There's public reporting of action and progress. Encourage the region to keep that idea of 12%, and we need to do more faster in every conversation and every decision you make. Next slide. Throughout that program, we actually have engaged with more than 22 community events in 2023, more than 400 community members, lots and lots of volunteers, trying to get everyone in this community to understand that the way forward in terms of climate is a collective movement, and that it's part of everybody's responsibility, residents, elected officials, businesses, etc. Next slide. The Impact Network is the program that most people know us for, and the region is a great member of this program. Next slide, please. We, on this program, have had almost 75,000 tons of GHGs committed to being reduced, but we've actually reduced through these companies almost 95,000 tons of greenhouse gases, 7,500 more than last year. So we're really proud of this program and what it's done, and it has been scaled actually across Canada through Green Economy Canada, another nonprofit that we started a number of years ago when I first joined. Next slide, please. Carbon Cleanse is one of the ways that we actually get employees to engage in sustainability and to take that as part of their own culture, both in their workplace and at home. It's really fun. If the region would like to engage with their employees, we would love that. It's all these fun things to get everybody thinking about it all the time. Meals together, upcycling challenges, transportation challenges, etc. Next slide. The Evolve One building is a success story in this community, Canada's very first net positive multi-tenant office building, and it's rare because it actually shares its numbers year over year. And last year was a difficult year to report because it was the first time that Canada's very first net positive multi-tenant office building did not reach net positive. And when we looked at why, it was because of the wildfires. The wildfires had particulate matter in the air, which meant that the solar panels could not do what they were designed to do, showing that we can either be in a virtuous cycle of sustainability.
Tova, can you, sorry to interrupt, just kind of wrap it
I will
up.
be fast,
Okay,
I
thank
promise.
you.
I'm almost done. Or a vicious cycle. So keeping that in mind, that it's how we move forward together and how we look at the impacts combined. Next slide. Couple of quick things. I'm in the what are we working on now? We have a partnership with Explore Waterloo Region where we're looking at hotels, conference centers, restaurants, et cetera. How do we actually make this a great place for organizations to come and bring their events, sporting business, and be more sustainable in those and differentiate? Next slide. I would also like to share about a Grow with Clean Tech program that we started with a local startup, Uvaro, where they do training and sales training, business training for the clean tech sector, reinforcing Waterloo Region's strength in this sector. Next slide. I just want to remind everyone, sustainability is big right now. It's a big conversation, and thank you for all of the work that you do to keep this top of mind with everyone. Happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Tova. Stay there. We have a few questions from councillors. Councillor McCabe?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Thanks very much, Tova, for coming in and bringing some energy. We know we can always count on you for that. It's really impressive the amount of work that you and your staff team do, and I think there's kind of no end of ideas and initiatives that people are coming to you with. So I'm just curious if you could remind us what the size of your staff is and what the budget is, and also if you could, maybe talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you're facing, because the climate crisis is more than upon us. Yes. It's really is something that we are focusing on, but what would you really see as a real challenge or an opportunity for SWR to continue to achieve what the carbon reductions that we need to achieve?
Thank you for the question, and through the chair. Our staff team is 8 people. Everyone thinks SWR is giant. We're just little. Our operating budget is $800,000 a year, and we have no core funding. So we run as any social enterprise nonprofit. We have a fee-for-service for some of our programs, but we are a fully self-sustained organization. There's a lot of opportunities that are coming our way right now. I think during the pandemic, people kind of thought, oh, don't rock the boat, stay steady. And now all of a sudden, there are so many things that we would like to do. And I feel like I am trying to fly a plane and build it at the same time. We're constantly trying to evolve, don't have staff necessarily to do that, and want to be able to leverage those opportunities. One of them being an organics diversion pilot that we're doing in Guelph and Wellington with the Circular Innovation Council, wanting to bring that to businesses here in Waterloo Region. How do we do that? Trying to find ways to constantly evolve and to leverage the opportunities that will take us to that low carbon future with a limited capacity.
Again, I just think it's incredible the amount of work that you're accomplishing with such a small budget. 800,000 is kudos to you and your team, but I think that it's clear that this is an area that us and businesses and others in the area need to continue to invest in, because you're providing certainly a lot of service and a lot of actions that more nimbly, I think, than sometimes we can ourselves. So thanks very much for all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and to you, Chair. So did I hear wrong? Did you say this is the last time you're speaking to Waterloo Region? Council?
No, you're the last council that I have to do. So you've heard
Last
some
council.
of you have
Thank
heard
you. You
this.
had me scared for a minute there. Tova, you are amazing. Not just that, you know what? In our society, we have this defeatist attitude that we can't do, that it's too big. Look what you've done and your team of 8. You are a can-do people. I talk to my residents all the time and say, we're a can-do society. Mm-hmm. Our children watch what we can do and they learn that they can do. And that's exactly what you do. Your energy, your spark, your can-do attitude will change the world and is changing the world. Bravo.
Thank you.
Chair Redmond.
I'm really glad Councillor Foxton clarified that comment, because I was sort of wondering the same thing. Tova, you did bring your energy, and thank you very much. pictures that have all the numbers on them. The accountability and the measurement, I think, is stunning. And you've done it since the beginning, and you really can qualify and quantify what you do. And it's always been my experience that governments measure what they value and they change what they measure. It's interesting when you talked about Evolve One and how the numbers weren't so good, but it led you to another insight that you didn't have. I also wanted to give you a shout out to the programs that you're doing with the schools, because Councillors James and Irv and I went to Rockway School, and the ownership the children were taking over the planning of that sustainability and that food garden was second to none. They were all so excited, and we ran into a real troop of WRPS personnel who were there doing the heavy lifting, putting the trees in the ground. So those partnerships are just so important, and the same with Evolve One when we look at what that accomplished. So thank you for the partnerships and continuing to raise the bar.
Thank you.
Tova, just one question.
Yes.
Because you're doing amazing work, you and your team. How long have you been at Sustainable Waterloo Region now?
And this is my 10th anniversary.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, next we have Kim Schnarr, Secretary for Aerolofts Condominium.
Oh, hi. Thank you for having me and letting me present. I'm here to talk about the Phase 1 interim plan where 2 of the 4 lanes on Benton Street and up to Frederick Street will be repurposed to accommodate the cycling lanes without expanding the roadways. Here at Aerolofts, we are certainly supportive of bike lanes. We have many people in our building who have bicycles and enjoy using the bike lanes, so we're not against it. Our concern here is how it might be considered to accommodate service vehicles. We don't have an outdoor visitor parking. They would have to access through our parking garage, which is height prohibitive, so we would not, most service vehicles aren't able to even get into the garage. We have one parking spot out in front of the building behind us, which is the Bow, and that is used for moving vehicles, service vehicles, but oftentimes we have more than one service vehicle coming to the building, whether it be through our project property manager or through a resident owner who is having work done on their unit. So I'm just wondering if there's any thought of accommodation. As we know, St. George Street is a very narrow street and can't really accommodate a lot of vehicles. My understanding was that direction was to go to the city lot on Charles Street, which would be very challenging for service people to come and bring heavy equipment and what have you. So we're just asking that there might be some consideration there, whether there's a lane that might be for, a determined amount of time that service vehicles could park there while they're working in the building.
Thank you. Hang on a second. Kim, we have Councillor Verbanovic. You have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks, Kim, for coming in today and bringing the voice of the Condominium Corporation forward. Are you representing both the condo building and the rental building, or?
No, just the condo building.
But it's an issue that impacts both, does it not?
It does, except that the Bow does have a larger entryway where service vehicles could actually park there, and it doesn't hinder cars coming in and out of their parking structure. Ours is very tight. We do not have any space. It's very difficult. Sometimes cars will come and park in front of the building if they're making a delivery, and it makes it very tight for cars entering or exiting the building.
And I mean, prior to today, have you attempted to work with regional staff to get your concerns addressed?
So one of our residents who is fairly active and does reach out quite a bit, we were told at that point that cars would be directed to go to the public lot on Charles Street. So that's all that I know. I haven't myself done that.
Okay, but our staff didn't, prior to this, reach out to you, or?
No,
No? Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, Kim, we see no further questions. Thank you for delegating today. Next is Tiffany from Kitchener. Tiffany, you have 5 minutes.
Hi, I have a presentation that, oh, great. Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm from the Cedar Hills neighborhood in Kitchener, which is right next to Benton Street, which you see here. And the neighborhood was actually preparing to ask the region for a plan very similar to what is happening. So we're very excited to see the cycle lanes and phase 2 be proposed. And I just want to talk about why we're so excited to see these cycle lanes, why we're particularly keen to see phase 2, and why I'm glad to see the city prioritizing people over cars. Next slide, please. So firstly, I want to show this map of the area to show you how the neighborhood is used. The neighborhood around Benton Street is densely populated and full of services. So I've highlighted Benton in blue, and these are just some of the surrounding services. A senior center is on one side and a medical center and dental office is on the other. Adults, children, and parents pushing strollers walk across Benton all day, and they're doing it to access groceries, restaurants, green space, and leisure facilities. And we all cross Benton at St. George and Church Street, where there are currently no crosswalks. And it's not just because this is the most convenient route, and it's not at all because we're lazy. Next slide, please. It's because Benton is at the top of a hill, and the alternative is to walk down the hill to this busy intersection. This is wider, louder, and crossing here isn't even possible for many people. Many people have mobility issues, and walking down and up the hill isn't an option. I've seen seniors walking across these 4 lanes up the hill where there's no traffic, or sorry, where there's no crosswalk. Next slide, please. So this is one reason the community is so excited for phase 1 and phase 2 of this development. As you can see, Benton is currently a wasteland, but even though traffic isn't very busy, it can be very dangerous to cross because it's 4 lanes. So bike lanes will immediately make it safer for everyone. 2 lanes instead of 4 will make it safer for pedestrians and obviously for cyclists, and I plan to be one. Currently, people do cycle on Benton. I don't, and many of my neighbors don't, because we've had too many close calls, and we're looking forward to cycling on Benton once we can. Next slide, please. But I wanted to give this full picture in my presentation to encourage the region to quickly move on to phase 2 after phase 1. We're genuinely giddy to have bike lanes after phase 1, but ultimately we'd love to see something like this with pedestrian refuge islands and tree canopies for shade, which I believe is all part of the phase 2 proposal. Next slide, please. So finally, I want to personally thank you for caring for people over cars. These changes are going to make it easier for people to walk, cycle, and connect to transit, ultimately leading to fewer cars on the road. Cars have so many negative externalities for everyone not actively driving the car. We know how dangerous a car is to a pedestrian and to cyclists, but even people in other cars would obviously prefer all other cars get off the road. And the same is true even for when the car is parked. So this is a picture of some of the parking we were talking about before. A motionless empty car sits there taking up space that could go to anything else, and almost every alternative, green space, housing, or in this case, cycle lanes, is better than a slab of concrete waiting to hold a motionless SUV. So in the case of this, we can have cycle lanes, which means cyclists can use this part of the road, and also us as pedestrians often can't see cars coming because we're blind to what's behind this row of cars. So creating these cycle lanes is going to improve the neighborhood, and it's going to make it easier for everyone to walk, cycle, and use transit. I look forward to using them, and the community particularly looks forward to phase 2 of the plan. Next slide, please. Thanks so much, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. And Tiffany, we have one currently, Councillor Verbanovic. Go ahead. Is it? Okay. All right. Tiffany, no questions for you. Thank you so much for your presentation today. Next, we have Priya. Priya, you have 5 minutes. Can you do me a favor and just correctly pronounce your last name when you get there? Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Priya and I'm a resident of Waterloo. I'm here today to talk about the proposed Benton and Frederick Street bike lanes. I've been trying to use my bike for most of my commutes within Kitchener and Waterloo in the past year and using the city's network of trails and bike lanes, and it has been pretty good so far. I fully appreciate the proposal to get temporary bike lanes set up as soon as the next year. This will help commuters start seeing benefits so much sooner instead of having to wait 7 years until the final design has been implemented. However, I have a couple of issues I'd like to highlight regarding the proposal for phase 1. The first one, you might have already heard about this in your feedback sessions, but I'd just like to bring them up once again. The first one being the disconnected nature of the temporary bike lane. The proposal excludes lanes in a significant portion of Benton Street between Charles and Weber. It appears that this section currently has 2 lanes in each direction, one of which could be repurposed as a bike lane, except for one small portion between Charles and King Street, I think, where there's only a single lane, and having an on-street bike lane is not possible. I was wondering if it would be possible to have bike lanes for the rest of this section in phase 1 itself, and perhaps, I'm no expert at this, reroute cyclists to a part of the existing wide sidewalk for the problematic section. I feel like having some infrastructure in phase 1 is probably better than nothing. I strongly believe that bike lanes should be inclusive of cyclists of all experience levels, not just those who are comfortable biking alongside car traffic. This is even more important since the new bike lanes would serve as connectors to other AAA infrastructure, the Auto Street multi-use path and the Iron Horse Trail. Also, since phase 1 will serve as a pilot study for phase 2, shouldn't we make it connected so that more people use it? The second point is about having the lanes physically separated from car traffic instead of using paint. The proposed bike lane is 1.8 meters wide with an additional meter of separation from the car lane. But the issue with such a wide lane only separated by paint is that we might see cars using the bike lane to pass over other cars. Having physically separated bike lanes can provide an increased sense of safety and significantly improve the biking experience. When biking, I prefer taking such routes even if it is much longer. I would request the region to consider installing precast concrete barriers along these lanes. And finally, I'd like to bring up the petition started by a member of the public, which is called Better Benton, which I think was instrumental in kickstarting the current project and which you all might have already no doubt seen. It's an excellent piece of advocacy which highlights some of the pain points of Benton Street and includes a number of traffic calming measures to make it safer for pedestrians. Some of the suggestions include smaller turn radii to reduce vehicle speeds, curb bump outs to reduce crossing distances at intersections, better pedestrian access to the Frederick LRT station, and adding a number of crosswalks, probably signaled, to connect neighborhoods on either side of the street. I really hope that the regional staff will consider including all these elements in the design for phase 2 to make this vision for a better Benton a reality. Thank you so much for all your efforts and your time.
Thank you. We don't have any questions, so thank you for coming in and speaking today. Next, we have Linda Jetzi, Executive Director for the Downtown Kitchener Business Improvement Area. And you have 5 minutes, Linda.
Thank you. I want to thank the Region of Waterloo for the efforts you and your team have put into evaluating the waste management challenges across our very unique downtowns. Last week, my visit to downtown Burlington, Halton Region was very helpful, and I thank you for that opportunity. During that visit, I learned how Halton Region managed a solution that was unique to each district, meeting the different dynamics and challenges of businesses on different streets. It was helpful to see firsthand the rear-loading semi-automated system and how the drivers were managing the extra waste that exists around the bins. It was evident during my visit to Halton Region that the City of Burlington and the BIA and the region worked collaboratively for a good solution for waste management. The Downtown Kitchener BIA Board of Directors and myself are prioritizing our resources for the purpose of making our downtown neighborhood a desirable place to be, where everyone feels welcome. Our goal is to create a sense of belonging that will bring more people to our district. We need this to support our businesses. We really strongly believe that visitors to our downtown will associate cleanliness with a sense of belonging, feeling welcomed, and feeling safe. Together with the City of Kitchener's investments, we've worked hard to keep our streets clear of garbage bags and litters through some private programs that were funded by the BIA. The Downtown Kitchener BIA will support option 1, which maintains the Region of Waterloo's responsibility for waste collection in the BIA districts. While I support this position, I do have the following concerns that I would wish to highlight today. 1, that each downtown district in this region is unique and different, and I don't believe this can be a one-size-fits-all solution. I liked what I heard and I like what I saw in Halton Region with the truck operators, in some cases walking further distances to collect bins where businesses cannot get them to the curb. Then the bins were returned by the truck operators. There are places in downtown Kitchener where access to bins will be a challenge. And there will be situations where small businesses will not have the space inside for large bins. In order to truly modernize and improve waste collection practices, there needs to be good collaboration between the region, the municipality, and the BIA. Through our daily activity and interactions, we have a very deep understanding of our businesses and their challenges around waste management and their capacity to hold waste. I am concerned that the proposed reduction in collection frequency from 6 days a week to 2 days a week could result in more garbage piling up on our streets. Together, the City of Kitchener and the BIA have collaborated our efforts to eliminate this problem through our Clean Team Pickup. We do not wish to take any steps backwards with removal and cleanliness. Therefore, I would request a more phased approach with open dialogue and collaboration that will allow us to understand how many times a week is truly optimal for success. Another highlight, delegating authority to our area municipalities for the enforcement of waste would also allow us to meet the needs, again, of very distinctive districts. Understanding that downtown Kitchener is heavily populated with restaurants, we know that a very high percentage of our waste is organics. I'm very grateful to Tova for helping me with the pilot program to understand organics a lot better. Back in 2018, our Waste Task Force identified the need for organic collection, and we ran a very successful pilot together. I would support the inclusion of an organics collection service as part of the new program. In closing, in order for the proposed program changes to not have a negative impact on our downtown, there will need to be a collaborative effort between the region, the city, and the Downtown Kitchener BIA. As the executive director, I am very eager to contribute and support and request that the region engage in a comprehensive outreach education plan to ensure the best outcome for the heart of our city, downtown. Thank you. I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you. I'm seeing no questions. Are you in the queue, Councillor Verbanovic? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Linda, for coming in, and thanks for the great job that, that you and your team do looking after our downtown and also working with the other BIAs throughout the region. You know, one of the things you know you've talked about is the importance of cleanliness and how that adds to the overall user experience. Over and above the 6-day-a-week pickup that the region was doing, I'm wondering if you can just touch a little bit on you know, what you were doing and what the BIA was investing into that over and above.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for your question. Yes, so in 2018, we did strike this Waste Task Force Committee, trying to make sure that we were keeping the streets really clean. So we engaged with the Working Center, and we employ people 6 days a week from 4 to 8 p.m. to go around and pick up garbage in downtown Kitchener. That has cost us close to $700,000 of our membership's money. We're very committed to that program because, as I said, cleanliness is associated with safety and a sense of belonging and a sense of feeling welcome. To add to that, once the Downtown Clean team takes that to a Moloch and Halls Lane, there was a cost to the city of Kitchener also having to lift that garbage out and get that garbage away. So we really increased the amount of garbage through the Clean team operation. Further, we supported street sweeping, and I also know that through the City of Kitchener operations, there's a program now where there is a crew downtown every morning, 7 days a week, sweeping, picking up debris, moving things around, and making sure that the downtown looks as clean as it can be. I can't say this enough. When we have garbage on the curb, here's the analogy I use. If you were inviting someone over to your house for dinner, or your apartment, or wherever you live, you likely wouldn't put the garbage bag at the doorstep when they're about to ring the bell. We want people to come downtown and feel like they're part of our community, that they belong, they want to be there. So it's really important that we keep our streets clean. I think that's all the programs that we did. Yeah, thank you.
No, I think that's very helpful. To hear, how the region investment at 6 times a week was even still being augmented both by the BIA and by the area municipality. And I know that's true in all or many of the other cases as well. The last thing that I just wanted to ask, and having gone on the tour as well, but on a different day than yourself, and you touched on it a little bit, but clearly, the message that I left with was that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. And in the case of Halton Region, as was explained to us, they went from 2-day-a-week bags to 2-day-a-week bins. And so as we look at this, we can't assume that going from 6-day bags to 2-day bins is going to work. And I think you've spoken to that. And I believe there's a motion coming forward later that will speak to that. But in particular, I think, the message that I was left with from that tour was it very much needs to be in the transition, a one-to-one, like you need to visit every building owner, business owner, and work with them to figure it out. And that's why the collaboration and partnership between, in their case, it was the region of Halton, the various municipalities and their BAAs was so key. And their advice to us was you almost need to do the same thing if you want to see success in our case. Would you concur with that?
Through the chair, yes, to answer that question, again, what I saw was not a one-size-fits-all. There were different streets, different areas, different places. Sometimes there's back laneways, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes there's little alcoves. Sometimes the 2 men that were behind the truck had to walk a little ways to grab that bin and bring it back and load it onto the truck. So it's not that. And even when I look at Cambridge and Uptown and Kitchener, we're also different. It just isn't a one-size-fits-all. And it was also so impressive to see those people that were behind the truck, because I know this is going to happen and it will be an education process. They went and picked up loose garbage bags and debris that was outside of the bin. Because when we put these bins on the street, people are going to drop a bag beside them. It's inevitable. So we are going to need to have a good solution that will ensure that the garbage is picked up. I am like I said, I'm eager to be supportive and to work with the region and to help the region understand my business's needs because we are all very different. You're right.
Great. Thank you very much, and thanks again for coming in.
Thank you, Chair Redmond.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for coming in. I'm over here. I should probably know the answer to this, but the BIA, can you just sketch for us what the boundaries are for your BIA, and what is the relationship, if any, with Belmont Village?
Through the chair. Thank you, Chair. Yes, so our boundary goes, I'll kind of describe it to you because I think everyone in this room probably knows Kitchener really well. We go from picture Victoria Street down Charles around Communitech, all the way down to Cedar around the Kitchener Market, over to Weber Street, back to Victoria. That's a big square. So that's the BIA boundary. In terms of Belmont Village, I have over the past many years, this is my 11th year, assisted and helped in any way that they've asked me to. So I've worked with them when they need help. They're a smaller BIA, and sometimes they call on Kitchener to find out the best way to do things.
So you have a relationship with that BIA, but it's not part of your BIA, right?
I have a good relationship, but it's not my BIA. No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. That is all the questions for today. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jayas, Executive Director for Uptown Waterloo BIA. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair James. It's working now. It's good to come up here right after Linda Yutzi. Thank you, Linda, for being a great mentor for me. I just finished my first year as the Executive Director for Uptown Waterloo BIA. I want to first thank Commissioner Jennifer Rose, John's here, and also Dave from the regional team for all of the work you are putting in and all of the work you continue to do with us to make sure that the downtown cores of this region are clean and welcoming. The BIAs are working with regional and city municipalities to help bring vibrancy to the downtown core of each of our cities in this region. A vibrant downtown is a great positive reflection on the city and the region being prosperous and safe. In our Waterloo region, we got 3 cities which are growing organically and growing very fast and representing each of their own cities in their own manner authentically. The townships are also growing. So we need the leadership of the region to work collaboratively, continuously with the cities and the downtown cores and the BIAs to deliver the necessary services. One of the most important one is waste management, according to the needs of each of the downtown areas. What's required for waste management will be different for Cambridge versus Kitchener versus Waterloo. Linda absolutely talked about that. Each of the BIAs, we want to continue to work with our respective municipalities and the region to ensure that our downtown areas are clean and welcoming for our community, our guests, and our visitors. We continue to hear about the growth of this region and the downtowns being great, vibrant, welcoming, and having lots of activities are a great reflection for the region and for economic growth and development. We know the changes for the waste management are very necessary, and we'll work with the region and we will work with the municipalities. Also want to bring up mention that most of our business owners, I don't know the percentage yet, most of the business owners also live in this region. So they are paying taxes in a personal manner, and then they're also paying the business taxes, levies, etc. So our ask from Uptown Waterloo BIA is that the region, as you start working on making decisions, that we have more than 2-day-a-week pickup. To go from 6-day-a-week pickup to 2-day-a-week pickup, that's not going to be good enough. And work with each of the downtown core areas and the BIAs, what the needs are. Because again, Uptown Waterloo is different from downtown Kitchener to 3 other downtown BIAs that are in Cambridge region and also the townships. We also need the region to work with cities and the BIAs on things such as the sidewalk sandy bins. Again, the needs are different for each of them. So the BIA in Uptown Waterloo, we support option 1, which is the region taking the leadership in overseeing waste management moving forward. The Uptown Waterloo BIA, working with the city, we have done more things to sort of add to the cleanliness in Uptown. Over the summertime, we are now doing Sunday pickup because we want the King Street from William to Central to be clean and not have garbage bags on a Sunday morning. And 2 of our business owners are participating in this program for us to help us out. So once again, we support the region. We want to work with the region. We want to work with the city. And we are here to work with option number 1 and looking forward to working with the region's waste management team. Thank you.
Councillor McCabe.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Thanks, JS, for coming in. It certainly feels like you've had such a big impact on Uptown Waterloo. It certainly feels like you've been around longer than a year. But thanks for all the amazing energy you bring to our Uptown. Just a couple of questions. You referenced about the business owners and the people who own those businesses, but also live in our region. Can you just remind us or share with the rest of council how much they pay through the BIA levy for the regional service, or how much in taxes they pay?
Oh, I don't know the exact number, but the business levy, so our budget's 920,000, and out of that, 720,000 comes from our BIA business levy. That's split between 475 businesses, and I don't know the landlord's numbers. So there's about 475 businesses that are paying our levy in the Uptown boundaries.
So it's a significant amount.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And I'm curious about what your response or what your thoughts were about, because I know you read the report, but on page 108, it said that 86% of businesses set out 1 to 2 bags or containers of garbage a week. Does that sound realistic to what, because I know you've been very, very involved with the city and you and the BIA. We've been working really closely to work on improvements to some of our waste management, as you said, like we're picking up on Sundays now. So 1 to 2 bags a week, does that resonate with you?
Not through the chair, not necessarily. I believe we need to do some more data collection on that and really dig deep into it. Because if you look at the core on King Street, again, from William to Central, I walk that block at least once a day. It's definitely more than 2, right? So when you add up overall, the 475, it may reduce it to that, yet we definitely need to break it down to our core area where it's front-facing, where visitors and guests see that on a regular basis. It would definitely be more than 2.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Chair Redmond.
Welcome. I sort of asked this with a bit of trepidation because I want to point out that rodent issues are everywhere in every downtown. When you were in Burlington, did they talk about using the containers and the canisters, and if that helped in any way with that issue? I know Toronto looked at live traps and other things, and I know every downtown has them, but I'm wondering if that was addressed specifically at all.
To Chair, Councillor Redmond. Yeah, so Burlington BIA in Halton region, they started the bin program in 2016. So it's been running over 8 years. And the development hasn't been that fast compared to, say, Uptown Waterloo, downtown Kitchener. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details of rodent. I could speak about that for a long time. So the developments, which are great, have caused the rodents to come from very below to up, and then the bins are definitely helping. They are definitely helping, and we are doing the bins in Uptown as well. The BIA, working with the city, we have delivered almost 50 bins, smaller bins now, for our businesses in the core area, and that's already made a significant difference.
Super, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Those are all the questions for today. Thanks for coming in, Chaz.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom Strickland. Welcome, Tom. You have 5 minutes.
Here we go. Thank you for giving me the time to speak with you today. I am a board member of Cycle WR, a cycling advocacy group in the region. Cycle WR strongly supports both Phase 1 and 2 of the Benton and Frederick Street project. This project will offer a safer and more direct cycling connection from the east section of the Iron Horse Trail to downtown Kitchener, the Kitchener Market, and the bike routes north of downtown Kitchener. We are also pleased with the reduction of the number of car lanes, as this will encourage traveling at safer speeds while easily accommodating the current and even substantially higher levels of traffic. It will also make it easier to cross Benton Street via Church Street, which is currently a bikeway. This benefits pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. We do have 2 suggestions for improvement in Phase 1. First, we recommend upgrading the facility from simple paint to physically separated bike lanes. While we welcome the 1 meter separation between the car and bike lanes, we are concerned that the simple paint suggested for Phase 1 might not be enough to reduce cars speeding, making illegal passes on the right, or cutting into the bike lanes when turning right. The staff report indicates the budget for this project is $2.1 million, whereas the current estimated cost is only $1.6 million. Based on standard costs shown in the 2020 City of Waterloo Transportation Master Plan, the cost to add precast concrete dividers with flex bollards to this project should be less than $150,000, still well within the original budget. Doing this would substantially increase cyclist safety in the time frame between Phase 1 and Phase 2. While Phase 2 is currently planned for 2032, we need to recognize the history of substantial deferral of the region's road projects. For example, in 2022, we reviewed the status of all the cycling projects in Cambridge listed in the region's 2014 Active Transportation Master Plan. By 2022, they had already been deferred more than 7 years past the date projected in 2014, and that average will be even longer when the still unfinished projects are finally completed. We realize that deferral of road projects saves taxpayers money, and that's a good thing for all of us. But it also delays cycling infrastructure that is critical for the modal share shift we need in order to meet our greenhouse gas reduction targets that TOVA is involved with. Phase 2 is currently planned for 2032, but unless there is a change in regional procedures, we might realistically expect it somewhere near 2040. That makes an even stronger case to spend a little more money now to add concrete dividers. Second, we recommend completing the Phase 1 work over the whole corridor, including Charles to Weber. The City of Kitchener staff pointed out the need to provide cycling facilities along the middle section as well, between Charles and Weber Streets. We strongly agree. Leaving a gap in the middle with no cycling facility will seriously reduce the number of cyclists on this corridor. Studies have shown that up to 65% of the general population are comfortable cycling when physically separated from cars, but only about 5% are fully comfortable with no cycling facility, as is the current Phase 1 plan between Charles and Weber. There is one small section, roughly 50 meters southbound between King and Charles, that is only 1 lane today, but the rest of the road between Charles and Weber, including northbound from Charles to King, has 2 full lanes in each direction. We hope this section could get the same treatment as the rest of the corridor. There would be no dedicated left turn lanes in that section, but this should be acceptable given the traffic volume, less than 9,000 cars per day. There are multiple bus routes in the central section, which does add some complications. However, are those issues serious enough to delay the critical central cycling portion? Could we not at least put buffered painted bike lanes in the central portion as a pilot? If there are too many problems, repainting the road is cheap and easy. On the other hand, if the pilot does work, we could then add precast concrete to the pilot section as well. The changes we recommend would undoubtedly lead to much higher cycling usage than we would see with the current Phase 1 plan. We believe the small additional cost to make these improvements would definitely be cost justified. Those are some brief comments. As mentioned previously, we strongly support the overall project. Thank you again for listening to our input.
Thank you. Seeing no questions, thank you for coming in today and speaking on this matter. Okay, so that is it for our delegations. I'm going to move on to the consent agenda. Are there any requests to remove items from the consent agenda? Councilor Banovic?
Well, just a question, like what's sort of the plan? Like how long are we're already almost 2 hours past our meeting time. And I'm just concerned that a number of our colleagues aren't here, and so just wanting to ensure that they have an opportunity to participate.
Okay, Can we do a quick check with who has to leave within the next, what time is it? We're 5:45 now. What are people's time limits for? Okay.
Can we maybe, in fairness to our colleagues, can we maybe move this to the 28th along with the rest of finance? And
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm just going to suggest, unless somebody thinks there's something contentious, what if we do the consent agenda, and then the items that are on the regular agenda are probably the ones that need the most discussion, and we'll move that to another date when everybody can be here.
Yeah. Okay, so I need a mover for the consent, Councillor Wolf, seconder, Councillor Sullivan. You'll be prompted in e-scribe, and then we will recess, adjourn until the 28th. Yeah.
Good idea, Barry. My daughter's at camp in lockdown.
I'm a yes. It's,
Well,
this,
she's in lockdown.
yeah.
Sorry, consent just carried.
Okay, so consent is carried. So we are now going to I don't need a mover for that to recess, do I? Okay. Oh, we'll put, yeah, so we are in recess for this committee until the 28th of August, and we will do our administration and finance at that time. Also note that it is a council meeting that evening as well, so it will be a longer day as well, and a budget subcommittee meeting. So clear your calendars, everyone. Just clear them out. Don't book anything. We will see you on the 28th.